my name is Haley Parmentier, and today I will be teaching you the ABCs of wine service. Wine is an addition to almost every meal that can make that meal for a guest. As for servers like yourselves, a wine sale can mean more tips. So if you recommend a $30 bottle of wine, you might receive $5 extra in tips at the end of the day. If you sell a $60 bottle of wine, you might receive $10 extra, and the list goes on from there. Wine is a practice, so the more time you spend actually learning about wine, the more that you'll get out of it. However, today I'm here just to teach you about the ABCs. So my first initiative for you is to learn a little bit about pairing. Pairing wine can make a meal go from good to outstanding, and it can incur more tips for you as a result. And that personal touch of having input on your diner's experience is really what the average diner is unaware of, and they get so excited when somebody pays that extra special attention to them. And so today we'll take 5 different dishes that you'll find in typical fine dining restaurants. Some you might see at an Outback Steakhouse. And we will talk about the different bottles of wine that you can pair with that. So, for instance, the first that I'd like to start out with is actually the starter for the meal. So, for a light, refreshing, crisp salad, I don't know if it's arugula, if it's a Caesar salad, if it's an Italian salad, you definitely want to choose a white wine that is light in body and flavor. And today I have for you a bottle of Pinot Grigio. Pinot Grigio pairs nicely with seafood, so if you have anchovies in that salad, it goes really well. But it also has the mouthfeel to complement the lightness of a green salad. And so thinking about complementing and contrasting when you're pairing these wines is important. So for a salad, a Pinot Grigio is a brilliant idea. Now, if you're looking for a little bit of a heavier starter, say you have a creamy seafood bisque or a creamy tomato or anything that has a cream component, a really good option to think about would actually be a Chardonnay. Chardonnays are a little bit bigger in body. They usually have a lot of oak to them because they are aged in oak barrels. This happens to be unoaked, but still will have that mouthfeel that's a little bit more viscous and a little bit more complementary to something with a cream component. So this would pair really, really nicely with that creamy kind of smoky flavors that come out in a seafood bisque. The next option that I would highly recommend with seafood, once again, as whites should always be paired with seafood, is a Sauvignon Blanc with a spicy fish dish. So you take a spicy tuna roll, and this is where that contrast kind of comes in. Because with spice, you have a lot of heat going on. There are layers of flavor because there is a creamy component to the tuna, but ultimately, what you want to do is kind of null out that guest's palate. So you're looking to complement the spicy with a citrus, with a light white wine that kind of takes their mouth from being on fire to back to neutral. So Sauvignon Blanc is a great option. The next varietal that you should know about is Pinot Noir and pork. Pork and Pinot. If you ever watch Top Chef, you watch the Food Network, you'll see that pork and Pinot Noir go really well together. Pinot Noir is a beautiful red varietal that has a really light mouthfeel to it, not like a lot of reds. A lot of people think red wine, they think high in tannins, they think my mouth is going to be so dry, it's going to be too big for me, but a Pinot Noir is that happy medium. And when you complement it with pork, which is the lightest of that meat protein, that not poultry, not seafood, it's a meat, it definitely goes well. So if you were to have, say, a pork loin with a cherry anglaise, this is incredible, and it just feels good for your guests to know that it was picked especially for them. Lastly, everybody loves steak. We live in the United States. Steak and potatoes, that's what we do. So here I have a half bottle. This would be perfect for 2 people to share with, say, like a 32-ounce gigantic ribeye. And what we're doing here is we're taking a really big red wine that has a very round, very heavy mouthfeel, and we are complementing that big heavy steak that has a really nice juicy component. So you're taking this rich steak and pairing it with a wine that actually has a very dry finish. So you've got a big red wine to complement a big steak. So just to recap a few points. White wines and seafood go together like peanut butter and jelly. Sauvignon Blanc and spicy are best friends. Spicy and Sauv, remember. Cows and Cab, a big red wine, are also friends. And then we have our pork and Pinot, which is Top Chef's favorite recommendation. Now, when you're actually at the table, one of the scarier opportunities for a server is actually that first wine service. And a lot of things can go wrong at the table. So really knowing what you're doing and practicing how it's done is a great tool for you. And there is a certain je ne sais quoi, there is a certain finesse to wine service. And so today we'll talk about some of that. Now, the first thing that you do when you sell a bottle of wine is you will introduce your guest to that bottle. So here I have a bottle of red wine that I have sold to a guest to pair with their pork, because pork and Pinot. And what I want to do when I come to the table is I want to present the wine to the guest. But I need to make sure that all of my tools are in the right place. And so what I do first is I drape my wine linen over my arm. Really simple fold. A lot of wine service linens are much smaller than this, so I've actually just double folded and placed over my arm like so. Now, you want to make sure that you have your wine in your hand as well as your wine key. Here, I have a double-hinged wine key. This is the best option if you want to make sure that there are no snafus at the table. It has a knife so that I can cut the foil off of the top of the wine, which you will observe shortly. The double hinge is important for the actual cork, removal. So we want to make sure that we have both our wine and our wine key in the same hand. But first, our wine glass is our key. And we want to do this in one foul swoop because as a server, your time is very valuable. You have a lot of things going on. So I can stack actually 9 glasses in one hand. It's just a talent. It's something I do. But with practice, you will be able to too. Generally, I recommend 5 at a maximum. 4 is usually how many people are at your table. So today, I've stacked them upside down, intertwined them through my fingers because this makes for easy delivery to the table. And I have my wine and I'm ready to go. When I get to the table, I actually set the wine down for just a moment and I place the glasses carefully in front of each of the guests at my table. Now, the guest who has ordered the wine is the one who approves the wine service. So you take your wine, you hold it in front of them, and you present them with that wine. Generally, you can say actually the varietal, the vintage, and the vineyard. So here I have a 2014 Bordeaux, and the vineyard is a Chateau Fourreau. And so now my guest knows exactly what they're getting into, just in case it's dark and they can't see the actual description on the bottle. And they're usually going to nod. They'll gesture with a nod if they know what they're doing. So what I do is I proceed to opening the bottle. This is the tricky part for a lot of servers, so don't feel bad if you don't get it right the first time. So here I have my bottle. Here I have my wine key. I am pulling out the knife, and I am always going to have the bottle facing the guest. I am going to start from behind, and I'm actually going to very carefully work my way around the very small rimmed edge of the wine bottle, which, if I bring it up close, you can see it's just a very small lip right there. This way, I'm actually putting an equal amount of pressure down so that I know that that's the best place for the foil to come from. I will put the foil in my pocket because you never put anything extra on a guest's table. You never put any garbage on a guest's table. It's just poor taste. Then I'm going to use this hand to actually stick the wine key down directly into the center of the cork. If you were to skew left or skew right, you might break the cork. Cork breakage is a sign of bad wine. We don't want our guests thinking that we're serving them bad wine, nor do they want them to think that we don't know what we're doing. So this is important. I have now used my first hinge to pop the cork up like so, and then I'm going to use my second hinge to very gracefully get the rest of the cork out. Avoiding that pop is a smart idea, something that you should always do, but it's almost inevitable sometimes. So I have popped the bottle. I'm going to keep the wine bottle in my hand at all times, removing the cork from the wine screw. I will now place it in front of the lady or gentleman who ordered the wine, giving them an opportunity to sniff the end of the cork, because that will let them know if it's a good bottle. We want to make sure that they're getting what they've asked for. They're paying a lot of money for a bottle of wine, generally between $20 and $200. So if it's a bad bottle, we have to make sure that we take it back, and they will be the people who decide that for us. So I've done that. Generally, if they do sniff the wine cork, they're going to do another nod to say, yes, it's good, or they'll say, please take it back. So at that point in time, you do a light taste for the guest who has ordered the wine. So I'm actually going to use my pointer finger, and I'm putting it on top of the bottle when I'm pouring, because I'm pointing to exactly where the wine goes now. And I'm going to lightly pour less than an ounce for the guest to try. I better try it. Perfect. Really good, actually. So the guests will take the taste. They'll then nod at you to pour for the rest of the guests. You will start with the most senior female at the table, working your way to the youngest female, and then the most senior man at the table, working your way to the youngest man, and then the last pour will be to complete the pour on the lady or gentleman who actually ordered the wine. So I would start by going around the table like so. And in order to get that perfect pour that does not splash back, you want to twist the wine. So the next point is portion. You want to make sure that you have enough for every guest. So each bottle will pour up to 6 pours of 3 to 4 ounce pours. So how do we know what 3 or 4 ounces looks like? Generally, on a Bordeaux glass, as I have in front of you, it's going to be just below the largest meniscus, the largest round part on the glass. And now you know that they have enough to get them through the course that you're at. So again, you will complete wine service on the original guest who ordered, and then what I like to do is double fold my wine linen, fold it in half, and actually paste it around the edge of the bottle, because in the event that I can't get back to the table, this way the guests won't spill on themselves. However, it is always in your best interest to go back to the table, go and pour the wine, go and start a conversation. Chances are, about 50% of the time, they're going to order another bottle from you if you continue that conversation about wine. As I mentioned in the beginning, more wine equals more tips, and I wish you the best of luck as you continue with your service career. Have a great day.